Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today we are playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and we are starting the third case of the game. So in our last episode, we were trying to resolve Kazuma's murder. He was the friend that helped us stow away on the boat to Great Britain because he had a work-study program in Great Britain. Well, with him dead, that left the question of, what's the point of going to Great Britain? But it only required one lawyer and one lawyer's aid. So we decided we studied law in his honor. So we decided to spend like the next 30, 40 days, something however long the voyage was, studying law so that we could qualify to be that lawyer. And that's where we ended on the last episode. So let's go ahead and hop in today and see where it picks up. The runaway room.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter.
Okay.
A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night.
Oh dear.
Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner.
In murder? I mean, it's already a murder case.
Mr. Herlock Sholmes once said of the incident, "I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together."
Okay. He seems... our Herlock Sholmes seems a lot too, like, hyper to be that Herlock Sholmes. It gets more and more cartoony.
Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
It's just an anime. We're watching anime now, guys. This is awesome. Each episode is, like, better than the last.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
Alright.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure.
Alright, we're going to the courthouse.
I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay.
Oh boy.
And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
It's so big. Alright. All the gears. Are we like having court inside Big Ben? Like, is that what's going on? Alright, 18th of February, 9:21 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Alright. What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. But they've only been built in the few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wooden paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. It's very different from the Japanese courtroom, but I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. What is this place again? It's This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. Yeah, if Kazuma hadn't been murdered, but Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. As envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So we'd have to return to Japan. If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for our study tour. Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer. Which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way that we'll be able to remain here in London. So hopefully, I hope I'm up to scratch. I haven't heard that expression before. Ah, good morning. Sorry for keeping you. What is this? Aha. Oh. I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. And very anal retentive, apparently. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I'm Mail Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. And I feel like a little mouse trapped under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't be a mouse. Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Ah, yes, thank you. Alright. I guess let's talk to him first. What about London? So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? No. I've been so nervous ever since I got here, I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh? We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Oh yes, astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me there, Sasada-san. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor. Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming great exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great exhibition. Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world. Even if you do say so yourself. Alright. The sun will never set on our great empire. very confident of that fact. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Alright, now can we be a law student? Lord Chief Justice. I think you were expecting a student of law for the study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. Mr. Kazuma Sogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. It's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news? Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me you Japanese are people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruto here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruto, this is it then, the moment of truth. Alright, here we go. Here goes nothing. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean. Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. And that was Mr. Ashogi. At least, that is what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naruto! I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? If there is someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's me. Right? It's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but no qualifications, you say, and yet you still claim to be a lawyer. I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. I had Kazuma to help me, and I was the accused, but glossing over the details. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about British law and court proceedings when I was on board the SS Burya. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become qualified as a lawyer here in Great Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Shogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on the study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance, that's all I'm asking for. Please. 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Norodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in a good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? But let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Shogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? Well, yes. That's my intention. I see. Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden? Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? Alright, what is the test? What do we gotta do? So, what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, defending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. Huh? Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be welcome news. Today? Straight away? My, if you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler? Ugh, how do I get myself into these situations? Well, could I ask? What sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart? Yes, good question. Ah, I remember. What is it? It's a murder trial. A murder? Oh my. An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose. That's easy to say, but I should mention, just in case. Saw that coming out. If the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death? Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably you read that much in your short sea-based introduction to British law. We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life. I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? I guess he's going to. There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is to ensure that you don't lose. Alright, so the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. Yeah, we did do that. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Shogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He's testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. Well, I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be? We gotta do this, right? What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? We gotta do it. Alright then. If I have to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't do it. I can't get the words out. 15 seconds. Your decision-making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. He times everything. So, it's as I suspected, is it? Sorry? You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Oh dear. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruto. I'm sorry, Mr. Sato, but what could I do? It's all right. I understand. You do? It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But result has absolutely nothing to do with it. What are you trying to say, madam? I think what Mr. Sato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo. Uh-oh. Oh? Was there something else? It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. So we're his only hope. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. But that's awful. But that is the truth. Why does it have to be like this? Please don't expect an answer to every question. Huh? The cold, hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. That will be us, right? And that is you. Okay. Yep. I'm really his only hope. I mean, it's either he defends himself or we defend him. At least we, even if we mess it up, we might potentially help him along the way, right? So, what do you say now, madam? Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve. Oh. Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves. Alright, so are we going to go to the courthouse now? He's gone. The Old Bailey. We're too intrigued to pass up this opportunity. If we are going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Alright, well, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, well, we already know what to do, right? Mr. Sato, can I just ask you something? careful. From this position, I can perform a Susada takedown in an instant. I know. Mr. Naruhodo, you heard Lord Strongheart. The trial starts imminently. If I need to throw you, I will. You know, you could just say I think we should hurry to the courtroom. If you need to ask me anything, it had better wait until we're at the Old Bailey. Alright, well, let's, I don't think we could examine, but I don't think there's any point in examining anything here. Let's just go ahead and go to the Old Bailey. London's highest criminal court with an illustrious past, the Old Bailey. This is where I'm to take my test and prove my worthiness as a lawyer. And Susada says, if we hurry and catch a cab, we may just make it to the courthouse on time. Well, let's get that cab then and get on the way. 18th February, 9:45 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Alright. Oh, thank goodness, we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines from her leprechaun stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay a gold for the privilege. Oh well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all. There's nobody here, right? There's only the bailiffs? So this is the Old Bailey. Even the room for the defendants to wait in is grand. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, but that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Alright. Yes, whoever the man you're to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. Top of the morning to you, madam, sir. Who is this gonna be? Ah, okay, it looks like, the Mad Hatter. What are yous doing following me here? Things are fair desperate, are they? Sorry? Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the East, are yous? We're from Japan, yes? Ah, Japan, is it right? Say no more. So, how much do yous need? No. We're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, none to eat, barely a penny to your name, and all while in a strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. 'Tis grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. 1,000 guineas? Please, Mr. Sada, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? 'Tis nothing for me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I've enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah, that hit me in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, 'tis a little embarrassing. The trial is about to begin, you see, as for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. So now what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial's going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up. I've decided he's Irish, apparently. I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? He's like, didn't I just say that? Like, bluster and blazes, do yous not know who I am? Me, one of London's biggest names? No, sorry, we only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park there in the center of London is another beautiful park. Sorry? A park? What? It's called McGilded Park, full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did. Huh, an entire park? In central London? A city of smiles, that's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city and its queer old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But now they've the gall to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What is the matter with the London police, I ask? Alright, don't pass out, my guy. Calm down, calm down. Mr. Naruhodo. Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath. Good idea. He's like dying here. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I have to say, and you daft Egypt? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This chancellor of a fellow claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all England? Because he did it! That's the only explanation. Well? Not... I think you're probably just crazy. Not at all. Although, it is a little strange, to be honest. Why you don't have a lawyer, I mean? That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry, did he just say Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Barak Van Zeeks. He is the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? When Mr. Van Zeek stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, I guess he's Scottish, not Irish, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it's reached the desperate situation, where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness, Lord Berg Van Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor, then. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth? The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin. His counsel? That would be me. Oh, 'tis time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here, I had made up my mind, so I had. Sorry? I decided to have to defend myself in there. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance. A student of law, wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, I can assure you of that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. Alright, so we gotta go defend him. I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. It's time to defend the Mad Hatter. Mr. Naruhodo. The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Kazuma would never have allowed to happen. Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose your right to stand. Oh boy, we better get in there. I'll be right there. Alright, here we go. Here we go. It's happening then. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. Oh boy. We got the Mad Hatter's life on our conscience now. Right, it's very fancy. 18th of February, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. Alright. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, what? We've got the googly-eyed stare again. Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it. That guy looks like a vampire. That guy looks like Santa Claus. Alright, so we're defending the Mad Hatter. The prosecutor is Vlad the Impaler, and our judge is Santa Claus. This should be quite the show. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilden. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English? Huh? Oh, yes, of course, sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Those eyes please me, Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. Ugh, a cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes. Santa Claus doesn't have anything to say. Now, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord. I can't get the voices right. You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner? As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to the young, even if the fellow is a student from some little island off in the far east. Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think the acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to Mr. McGilded. What a fine gentleman London has in him. Did you hear that he donated £5,000 to the government the other day? Mother, please, may we go and play in McGilded Park? It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded. And most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your partiality. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready. At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Ha! Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. 'Cause you're a criminal yourself? She's just typing. He's like having a little morning sip of his alcohol. I feel a chill. And it's Grandma! It's Mrs. Claus! Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, these people are... The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right. I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view. But how exactly did the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes. Alright. Prosecutor Van Zieks. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame. I don't have a good voice for Santa yet. I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity. So what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance to which the court should be aware? Is there? I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today, of all days, to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo. As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. I should just be like, ho, ho, ho. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please. Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. We must must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as Thrice-Fired Mason. Sorry? Thrice? He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. Oh, that's not good. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service of the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence. Alright, so the autopsy report has been entered into the court record. A report prepared by the Scotland Yard coroner. It gives the cause of death as internal hemorrhaging as a result of a single stab wound to the abdomen. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered. It's a photograph of the victim taking on the omnibus. The knife in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partly obscured from view by an old crooked hat. And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are... Good Lord! Is that blood, counsel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them? Was he maybe helping the victim? That's kind of where I'm wondering now. That's my first thought. Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. Alright, so the defendant's leather gloves have been entered. The leather gloves the defendant was wearing at the time of the incident, there is a blood stain on the right glove. Okay. How did I get into this? Back into a quarter before I've even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Well, rather daunting circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you? He's just like all smiles. Well, of course I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening, but whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep? 'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord, lilt and so it is, and when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a disparate sight before me, the body of a man I never laid eyes on before in me life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fellow bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got onto the gloves then after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning. What? That's not all of it? There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. How are there multiple witnesses if there's only 2 people in the cab, my guy? And the driver is supposed to be driving? Explain. Explain me. Make it make sense, my guy. Order! 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 When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage. And there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Oh my. Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all. Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. I love how he's so dramatic. Okay, this is quite an interesting little crew here. Witnesses, your names and occupations. My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End. Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city. My name's First. Lady First. I, make hats for gents. Are you really a lady? Lady. Let us begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were an omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Quite right. Yes, sir, that's right. Very well then, let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw. I just can't get Santa's voice right, guys. It's terrible. Alright, witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had few customers. I remember it well. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus. And then I saw it too. Man, we got quite the crew here. Unambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Yes, counsel. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? This has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. This guy is like shivering to death even though it's inside. How quaint. I'd read that civilization in the Eastern nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you ever traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. We, only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What? Do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much? Yes? The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus. Oh boy. That's... Wow, yeah, yeah, that's kind of big. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architectures and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. That seems like very... that would be awkward if you're inside. Ah, skylight. Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats of this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim instant. Through the skylight. Ugh, that makes perfect sense. Well, counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. His wig is askew now. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Alright. Very well. I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. Alright, so the whole omnibus is in the court record. This should be fun. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence? Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Let us continue with the proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel. I don't expect this nippity stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. He's just taking a deep breath. Give me strength. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Before we do that, I want to see, can I look at the court record? I want to look at this. Alright, so we have the court number. I can't find anything in place. Alright, let's look. We got the ladder here. Let's see. Can we look? Let's see. What is this? Alright. There's this up here. Can we look underneath it? No. Can we look from the top? Alright, what is this? So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with cold air rushing past them, and they have to pay money to do so? Brr, I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Yeah, it is February, I said, right? So it's going to be really cold. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Alright. We got the window here. Let's look through it. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Alright, Job Masters, London head office. This must be where people sit. All right, so we already read this. Okay. And there's the lamps. There's his seat. All right, I don't know what we're actually learning from looking at this. Can we like open the door? I want to be able to open the door. I guess we can't. Not yet. Oh wait, what can we do here? All right. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of a murder. It's horrible. Alright, let's look. Alright, so we've got this. That's the blood stain. That's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victim's, obviously. Yes, and the seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't always seem like it was a planned attack. Alright, then we have that lamp. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Ooh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Okay. We've got this poster. A poster for the Great Exhibition. Is that the same stuff? Okay, that's the same thing that we just read. All right. Then we got the skylight here. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description. I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin, at least. Is there anything else we should notice? I wonder. There's this. Are we able to, like, do anything with that? Like, what if we pull this out? Can we open it? The seat has a handle, it seems. Aha. Okay, what is this? This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Alright, so will there be anything else said here? I don't know. This is all the same thing, right? Alright, there's the box, right? Can we do anything with this box? No, okay. So this is all just the same thing, right? Okay. This one does not have one. We got the windows. Alright. We can't seem to open them. Alright, I guess we'll go out for now. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. Alright, I guess we'll go on. That seems to be pretty good for now. Alright. Is there anything else we can do with this? He's missing a button, by the way. That might be important. Also, what I don't understand is, how is the blood stain on the seat if he was stabbed here? Like, there's no blood down here, and there was no blood on the back of the seat. It was literally just on the bottom of the seat. That doesn't make any sense. I feel like that's going to come into play. Alright, there is no blood on the back of the gloves. There is only blood here. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Huh. Pity. If only he had been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Probably. Anything else we can see? I don't see anything offhand. And then let's look at this. Thrice fired mason. Male, age 54, occupation brickmaker. Time and cause of death, 15th February, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying in an omnibus. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. Okay, so that means there was no exit wound, right? He bled inside. So that something is definitely off with the crime scene immediately. And that's, it identifies the wearer as a defense lawyer throughout the Empire of Japan. Okay. Alright. My first cross-examination. Let's go. Slap yourself in the face. Focus, Ryonosuke. Focus. Alright. What the witnesses saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. Let's press you.
Hold it!
Find out some more information. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. It was so cold. It was freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time. Is that correct? Yes, sir. That's right. Not all traveling at the same parts of the bus, of course. No. Alright, we want to make sure to keep an eye out if they're, like, being suspicious. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right, sir. With that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. No one is looking suspicious. So nobody fled the scene of the crime, then. I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does, every evening. The last bus of the day. Okay. He's just like collapsing. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, so sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much on the pub on the way home just to try and warm up again. The victim and the man accused of killing him were set next to each other inside the bus.
Hold it!
Let's press. And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage. That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window is right there at your feet. I'm looking at them. He's just shivering. And he or she is just fixing a hat. There was a lamp on the inside, so I had a pretty good view. Wait, that makes even less sense. The two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There's no room for doubt here. Unless he was hiding in the bench, right? Ugh, I really wish there was. And out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Didn't I already testify to that? You guys being suspicious at all? Or are fairly dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if that's... My lord. Juror number 3, what's the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. Oh my. Uh-oh. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it is my duty to set a good example for my fellow jurors. Oh no. Oh no. What is happening here?
Let me see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts.
With fire?
Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago.
So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean...
Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Now I'm even more worried than I was before. Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Alright. This is a nightmare.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it.
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats.
No one's being suspicious over here.
I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right up out from his belly, that huge great knife.
Like no reaction from the other guy. A grim sight indeed. That didn't help me at all. The jury looks like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before.
That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First. Oh, yes, sir. Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief, yes, that's it, the very one, sir. Is that? Yes, counsel, this is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly. like a stick through the heart. And you would know about it being Dracula, so... That is the blade of considerable size, Counsel. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. Please, no. M for Magnus, perhaps? Or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to afford. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel. Alright, the murder weapon's been entered into the court record.
My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
Juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish.
Oh man. This is not going good. Not going good at all. No!
I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime.
Oh man. She's gonna...
I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
Only grandma is left? Oh man. Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who've proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may very well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. Alright. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Alright. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. How did he see it?
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor, he was. What? That makes no sense. What?
And by the passenger, obviously referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And then the other passenger had the knife in his hand like this.
And by the other passenger, obviously, you were referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. That just... What? What? That makes no sense whatsoever. Like, my lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too? As the master of London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, as they say.
No, please, just keep an open mind a little.
Gee up now, Silver Blaze. The finish is in sight. Oh, man. Now it really is just Grandma. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. I don't. I think he's lying.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that the 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. They all haven't heard anything. It's just Grandma. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I just can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He is always doing wonderful things for the city.
That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely.
Mother, may we go to McGilded Public Library and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man is he? The philanthropist, Magnus McGilded, has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls.
What? Stone the crows!
McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He's a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So, has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that the victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name save a considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts. Good gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded. I don't believe it.
Hold it! If I might add something briefly.
Mr. Sato?
You claimed that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim?
Exactly. You can't just go saying things. Oh, you gotta drink some blood? Okay. You go for it, Dracula. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in the court of law. Aha! There it is, Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice.
How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. Ah, as a judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Oh. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. A marvelous toast, counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Alright, so the debtor's ledger has been entered into the court record. A catalog of people who borrowed money from the defendant at a high rate of interest. It includes the victim who owed 20 guineas. Alright, let's look at it. Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum. And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense. Oh, juror number 6 has nothing to say. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Incredibly, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused. And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel! Oh, no. Still, maybe it's all for the best. Can we do something? Can we, like, present stuff now? Like, what if we examine something? Open this up. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh, dear. Do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you we will not find Mr. Sholmes' name inside. Well, let's see what we do find. Alright. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness! What is it? Look at this. Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment. Oh, yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Alright, among the listed defendants is Bruce Fairplay, who would have been due to repay his loan eminently. Okay, nice. Anything else? I think that's probably it, right? Okay, so that's all we have there. Let's look at this. Alright, can we open it? That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Norohodo? Oh, sorry, yes, I just don't really like blades. Oh, those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's not a blade, that's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Okay, this... Alright, we got blood here. There's just a little bit. That looks like a lot of blood. It surely is blood. The victim's. An Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood. Did you think it wouldn't? Sorry. It's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand.
Alright. Is there anything else to look at? We do have the M. An ornate letter M, undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilded's initial.
And it's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think.
Ah,
What is it?
look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything.
A W?
Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it.
I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I'm sure of is that this is an M.
Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed. I mean, yeah, it could be a W very easily. Is there anything else? I don't see anything else immediately. Alright, so I guess that's it for that. I kind of want to present evidence, but I gotta wait. Let's see. Well, wait a minute. Let's think about this a little bit more before... I don't stand for nonsense. Oh no. They've all judged and guilty. Oh no. This is terrible. I didn't get a chance to present evidence. That was it. The last juror's decision. Oh no. We didn't even get a chance to do anything.
According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here.
The final verdict. It's over then.
Oh. There's a footnote, though.
A footnote?
However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case. Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. We're just like, we're doomed. Mr. Sauter, just tell me one thing.
Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before? The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense, what did it say next?
Oh yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point.
Summation examination.
Objection!
A summation examination. From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Oh.
What even is it, Miss Susato? This so-called summation examination.
Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it.
You wouldn't demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nipponese.
Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury.
To do what exactly?
Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. And it says here that successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse their decisions. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really. So it fell out of use.
I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. I mean, but we're going to.
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
I think we should do it. It's our only chance. Let's do it. A summation examination. Our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? We assert our right for sure. Why would we admit defeat? That's silly. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Yeah? Well, I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before.
I don't really hold with all this justifying lark. She's angrily typing. That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems none of them have experienced this before.
All right, then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around. So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime. Oh boy. All right. And that is where we're going to end this episode. We will pick up next time trying to figure out what the jurors thought was so wrong, and maybe we can reverse some of their decisions in the next episode. So if you enjoyed this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/LeR27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games I'm playing each day, I post them on twitter.com/LeR27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye.